All right, guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do Nighthawk issue number 1 from Windjammer by Neal Adams, cover by Neal Adams, created, I think, by Neal Adams, and drawn by Neal Adams. So yeah, Windjammer in the studio, I guess. Neal Adams, responsible for one of the many great Batman runs with, I mean, stories. I believe Head of the Demon was one of my favorites, one of the most iconic storylines. I believe that's what it's called, with Ra's al Ghul and Talia al Ghul. It was great, it was awesome. But he also did a lot of independent books. I'm coming back to that a little bit later. So without further ado, let's dive in, right? So we see here Nighthawk standing on a rooftop. He's ignoring this helicopter because he thinks he has no respect for the sky and no grace. By the way, look at these creations by Ron Marsden, Andy Smith, and Bart Sears. It's great. Anyway, so this is, I believe, I can call it a Batman archetype, but also not. This costume also reminds me of Killer Shrike from the Spider-Man comics. If you remember Killer Shrike, he is a throwaway D-lister villain, but he has some cool, interactions with Spider-Man. And so what Neal Adams is really good is big, bold, in-your-face art. And I'm going to show you a lot of these pages, which is cool, but, it's also, I believe, some of his weakness, because everything is in front, in your face, which means everything around can be disappearing in the background, but still, and also a little bit confusing sometimes. Well, this is not that bad. I mean, we see these backgrounds with the city, but sometimes there's so much going on that I have sometimes a tough time figuring out what's going on. But, that's his style, and I like that. I mean, come on, look at this. He jumps into this orphanage house. Not a fan of the sound effects, by the way. I think that's the biggest weakness of this book. The sound effects, these fonts, even the Nighthawk with the fire coloring, and it's not really that good. Anyway, so he jumps in, and so these poor people are just getting a heart attack, and he just stands there and he doesn't say anything. So this woman says, "What do you want from us?" He said, "Why don't you speak?" And he says, "I'm here to shut you down, but I run an orphanage." And then he says, "Liar." As if alive, the wings respond to their master's oath. All right? He says, hey, let us go. We are just here. We are not a part of it. You are here. That is enough. But then she pushes a button, and then suddenly some goons comes out, right? And, oi, it's some idiot in a costume. Wait, it's that guy from the Pipers, Megalith. Now, I thought, wait a minute, Megalith? Megalith is not even part of this universe. So, for those who not know, Neal Adams also created another company called Continuity Comics, which features Megalith, that premier superhero, I guess, and other heroes and villains as well, which was really good. I mean, he basically drew everything from the Continuity Comics. The problem with Continuity Comics is it was not very good at continuity, because the storylines and it was all over the place. I mean, I have a lot of them. I need to go back to certain comics. I know what Mike, one of my subscribers, are saying. Hey, you need to go back to that particular book. Yeah, I need that. But anyway, let's move on with the Continuity Comics. But there is some inside jokes here from heroes from other publishers. I'm going to show you that a little bit later. So the woman says, no, it's not Megalith. It's a vigilante with a death wish. And then, yeah, he's just doing this hand swing, and then magnetics, activates. And then from his holster in his boots, he grabs the guns and he starts shooting. So it reminds me of this Danny DeVito meme. So I'm starting blasting. Yeah, okay. Look at this effect here. Doing this. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, and he's then killing everyone, right? He's killing everyone. The coloring leaves sometimes much too desired. It's a little bit too dark in some places for me. But again, that was coloring from back in the day, and there is some good coloring in here, but not always. Some coloring choices I have doubts. Also, you see here this lettering effect here doesn't do it for me, but the action looks cool. All right, so this old woman shoots him with, I don't know, a shotgun, and but then the wings just don't push me. So it doesn't matter. Lots of them lying around. This time I got to aim for the head, and she. It's just, I give you four fair warning, breaks her arm. So old people are not safe for this guy, right? But then these couple says, what is this, a child slavery thing? We just wanted to adopt a child. We didn't know. And then he getting angry. He says, you didn't know. And he grabs this wall with his claws and rips away the plywood and plaster. And then, yeah, we see these kids here. But then he's still also blaming them. You didn't know? Bull, look at them. You want one of these? Snatched from their families. They're children. They're just, calm down. They didn't know, right? On the auction block to be sold to you. Cheap at any price, eh? You should be ashamed. Look at all these innocent eyes. All right, guys, flashback time. So this, again, is a little bit confusing. We see, I believe, a young Nighthawk. Yeah. Young Nighthawk playing around. And now it seems that he's looking into something. And then he grabs, what's this? A lot of superheroes I do not know. But sometimes, I mean, this design looks cool, I must say. Yeah. Then he grabs a bat and then crashes the something. And glass breaks. And I had to go back, a little bit to see what's going on because I didn't know at the time, but the next page will clear it all up. So there is some visual storytelling here that is not always clear. All right, so it seems that he tried to break out this person, and then the cops got, well, it's not cops, guards, maybe, soldiers with red berettas on. And he says, oh, it's the kid again, they say. So do you know him? It said, looks like death would be a bloody mercy. Can it, you two? It's the clone. Wait a minute, cloning? That's interesting. So, blast if I know what to say, though. Seems inhuman to keep that thing alive inside that horrible place. So I'm not sure if these are good guys or bad guys. So this is clearly in a laboratory, right? So does that mean this is a clone or is he a clone? And what is his role in here and how do these people know him? Well, we're not getting these answers today. So he snaps out of this flashback. So, but then these poor people say something that he doesn't like. We just wanted a kid who looked like us. Oh, yeah? You decided to buy a pretty blonde white kid. Sure, why not? All you got to do is raise the price high enough and one will magically appear, right? But then he says something like this. You got money. You got time. You got everything. Did you ever occur to you there might be a little black or Hispanic baby out there who really needs you? Dude! So you belittling them by not wanting to have a Spanish or black child, but just a kid that, looked like them? What's wrong with that, right? That child might turn your whole world into sunshine. Think about it. So he says, police are on the way. You stick around as a witness, etc. So, so he's guilt tripping them. It doesn't really matter, right? I mean, it's their decision, right? If you want to adopt a child, and it's you're doing the right. Let's say it's going through the right tunnels, canals. You know what I mean, right? Why not? I mean, you could choose any child you want if the child comes from a hot place, like China or Japan or maybe the African country. It doesn't matter, Come on. But still, anyway. So, like I said, he's doing this big, talking about Neal Adams, doing this big, bold panels. And I really like that, But like I said, the coloring leaves something to desire. But since it's nighttime, it actually doesn't look that too bad, with the purple horizon. I like that. And unfortunately, the city is a little bit too black for me. Would have been nice with some neon lights here and there. But, well, what do I know? Anyway, so we go to the Bronx, and there is I don't know, some scientific compound here. Not sure why it's in the Bronx, because the narrative says just above Manhattan proper in the South Bronx. Once not a bad place to raise a family. Not now. Now it's a breeding ground for a species of young savage criminals. Are you saying that black people are criminals? I'm not messing around. But still. So there's a soldier coming out here, and there's some criminals here looting stuff with machine guns. And what is this guy? What's this pose? It looks like he's crawling on the ground or something. It's just, so this is staircase. What? How, okay. No, moving on. So this guy didn't, this is some cringe dialogue. So he says, I told you I spotted motion on the radar, and this boy is definitely hostile. So I think, what do you mean? What are you talking about? What boy? But it seems this is a young lad. So he says, okay, we got hostiles incoming. And then he says, you don't know how hostile I can be, chump, but you will. And then I don't know what's happening here. So it seems that is this some kind of a laser? But he shoots him, right? So I think this guy is dead with a bullet in his head. But then at the same time, he's getting a dart in his neck here. So what's going on? So is he now dead, or is he unconscious? And where's the laser? Is this? Sorry, I'm too excited. If this is a laser, where does it come from? Is it this red dot here? I don't know. Anyway, so he's calling it in. So these are the Marines, right? They're going to this sites because they're calling themselves Marines. So I'm not sure if these are good guys or bad guys. Is he still shooting that guy? He's still, but he's just, there's only one sound effect. So like bzow, bzok, 2 sound effects. Okay, so this is probably here, and this is, it's a little bit, like I said, it's a bit messy. But then, look at these outfits, pretty cool. Anyway, so perimeter alerts. And he says, Aren't man, security guard Bernard, quickly. Who are you? What the hell are you doing in my lab? So, but then I like this coloring scheme with the yellows and the orange. It looks great, you know, this little bit of glowing light effect here. He says, who we are, dear girl? We are quality control. All right, so Nighthawk comes in his house, and he, you know, his name is Scott Pike, and he has work to do. And then, now this is interesting. Look at this. So he's taking off his mechanical fake wings, I guess. But then he has also real wings that is crafted into his skin and then goes back into his skin, I guess. Interesting. So did he did that to himself, or is that done to him? So basically he's controlling the wings through the wings on his back. I haven't seen that before. So he says, too bad I cannot show these off to others. Doubt they would understand why I do this. Why I'm driven to do the thing that I do. So he's also doing some voice command thingy. So I believe then he's a very wealthy man, or maybe a smart man. Well, he is, because he's a smart man. I'm going to explain that later. So he's tired, so he's sleeping, and then he's being waked up by a woman called Five. And then when I saw this, I thought, okay, this could be a scene that a guy in his underwear looking at erotic channels or something, you know, with her speaking with the mouth open. Why would you do that? Maybe it's my warped, twisted mind, you know, having this image in my mind. Probably it's me, right? Anyway, so he's now Scott Pike, mad scientist. And with those glasses, no one will ever expect that I'm the really Superman. I mean, Kent Clark. So I have to get a thicker set of lenses, he says. My acute vision is still too sharp. Hurts my eyes. So he says, hey, where are the others? Maybe lunch? And he says, I left you alone for 3 months. 3 months? And then, oh no, it's Carrie. You can't be. Next choke. Snapped. Go, Carrie, who did this to you? I should have been here. And then I like this reflection. Now, this page is amazing. The color's great too. Look at this. Wow. All that, and he's gone. Nemo is gone. Isn't it? Look at this. Look at this. All these people hanging here. All these scientists. This guy is. What happened to you, man? This looks amazing. All these details. I like the monochromatic background coloring, and then the somewhat normal coloring, you know, with the blue and the red here with the blood, and on the front. So this pops more, and this is more like in the background. Nice coloring here with the brown, darker brown, red to light. Same with here, and then goes on into the blues. Very nicely done. This is a great cliffhanger for the next page. I mean, for the next book, I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm a little bit too excited to tell you all this stuff in here. I think this is good. We also saw some kind of a Comic-Con in 1995 with Paul Galacci, Bob Layton. You're probably the man of Iron Man. He's one of the best Iron Man artists ever. Well, ever. Right? Bennett Chang. I do not know a lot of them. Rack Morales, I know. Bob Hall, I know. Don Perlin, I know. Yeah, some cool stuff. So I'm excited to read the next issue. So I hope you are on board as well. So thank you so much as always, guys. I see you on the next one. Bye-bye.